Really? We're still doing stuff like this. So today there was news that the new Superman movie that everyone's been talking about, that everyone's been curious about, that's coming out. Apparently, it is going to star a black Superman. But what's annoying everyone, and what's been kind of controversial, is the fact that they're making Kal-El black. Now, for those of you that don't read comics, there are already two black Superman in the universe. There's the Val-Zod Superman and there's the Calvin Ellis Superman. Both they're like alternate takes on Superman. They're like alternate versions of Superman in different timelines and universes and stuff. And people are kind of just, including me, are kind of just wondering why are you taking a character like Kal-El who has been white his entire since birth, essentially, since his creation in the 30s, and making him black. What's the purpose behind it when you already have two black characters that people like, who have interesting backstories in the comics, who are actually like solid versions of Superman? Why aren't you using those characters? Why aren't you taking those versions of the characters and putting them up on the screen for everyone to see? um I've always been kind of in the camp that, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, when they made Human Torch black in Stick, I didn't really care. I was like, it's Human Torch. Like, him being black, I like Michael B. Jordan. Like, I don't really care. Like, it didn't affect me at all. Um, Usually stuff like this doesn't really affect me, but this for some reason did. I think this is a terrible idea. I think that taking Kal-El and making him black, I think that's gonna hurt the film more than they think it will, maybe, because I think a lot of people are going to look at this as a gimmick in a lot of ways, like, oh, it's Superman, but now he's black. He's black. This is a different Superman. He ain't that old crusty old white boy from Kansas. Um, and I think people are gonna kind of like look at it a little bit as a joke in a way. Um, and it also is going to hurt the film because we're already talking about it, and I don't think there's a script written. I don't think they have anyone in mind as like the cast yet. I don't think they've done any like actual work on this film other than just say that, oh, Superman's going to be black and it's Kal-El. Like, I would understand if they wrote a script and they started casting, and then they got a black actor for the role, and he was the best person for the role, because I'm always someone who's an advocate for get the best person for the job. I'd be totally cool with that if that was the case. That's not the case here. It's clear that they want a black person out of the gate, before they've even started writing or shooting anything or casting or anything. And I think that's a terrible idea. Not only does it tell me that your main focus on this film isn't trying to make the film as best it can possibly be, but it also tells me that you don't really care all that much. You're trying to do woke propaganda, and you're trying to jump on the Black Lives Matter train as much as possible. But you're doing it in a really stupid way. Because not only are there several DC characters that are from the comics that are black that have not gotten their dues in live action that you can use. You can take those characters and make because I'm sure they want their Black Panther type movie. You can make a Black Panther type movie with those characters. Where's the Jon Stewart movie? I'm sure, I know they wanted to do a Cyborg movie, but all the stuff that happened with Ray Fisher, happened or whatever. I don't care. Recast them. Like, who cares? Static Shock. I know there's talks that a Static Shock movie might be coming out, and they're trying to get it in the works or whatever. The Black Lightning. There's all these different. I would love a Jon Stewart movie. I've been wanting to see Jon Stewart on the big screen since I was a kid. Like that, you could do something out of that, and Jon Stewart could be a character that you could kind of like not make the entire movie about his race, but Jon Stewart is someone who's like seen some stuff, like he's a character that his race definitely would, like, you could make an interesting story out of that based on the color of his skin. You could make an interesting kind of narrative out of that, and why that motivates him to become a Green Lantern or something. You could tell a really interesting story about that, if that's what you want to do. I find it weird that like we're making a big deal out of it because we keep talking about progression and being progressive and everything. Talking about a character's race is not progressive, by the way. Progressive would be, hey, we cast Idris Elba as Batman, and you just don't say anything about it because Idris Elba was the best actor for the job or whatever. Like that is progression. When you just cast someone and you just don't make a big deal out of it, and it's not really brought up in the movie, it's just he's a Batman who just happens to be black. Like that's the thing. But I have a feeling they're going to hammer this home in the movie, and his race is going to become a part of the film. And they're going to do a whole Black Lives Matter woke, propaganda type of thing. And I'm not cool with that. I'm not okay with that. Not because the character's black, not because they want a black Superman. If you want a black Superman, cool. Get the already black, the two black Superman from the comics who already exist. Get those characters and put them on screen, because now basically what you're saying is that those characters don't matter. The only Superman that matters is Kal-El. That's not the case. And I know WB probably doesn't read the comics and they probably don't even know that there are two black Superman already in the comics. But like, get those characters. Do a little bit of research and get those characters. And then if you want that Superman, I'm not going to call him the Black Superman because that takes out the entire importance of them being Superman. But if you want the Val-Zod Superman to eventually cross over with maybe the Kal-El Superman, or maybe, Ben Affleck's Batman or something, you could do that. You've introduced this multiverse idea, this multiverse concept, write in some bullshit to where like, oh, the time vortex or there's a boom tube or whatever, and they clash and the universes are colliding, and then you can have Val-Zod Superman interact with Kal-El Superman, or you could do Robert Pattinson Batman meets Calvin Ellis Superman or something. Like you can write whatever the hell you want. You can make a story out of this all you want without erasing Kal-El, without making the character of Kal-El a gimmick in a way. And by doing that, by the way, by making a character a gimmick, that's honestly, I'm not someone who gets easily offended. I don't really care what people do. If you want to do something, go ahead and do it. If I don't like it, I just won't support it or talk about it. But making Kal-El a black character, a black man, is a gimmick, and that should be offensive. It's the same way that everyone was kind of talking about Black Panther when it came out, right? Where everyone kind of, that movie, like, it's almost as if, and I'm not pooping on Black Panther, all right? I like the movie. It's not the best movie in the world, but I like it. It's almost as if that movie solely like made money based on the fact that the characters were black. Because if it was just if it was a normal Marvel movie at the time, it probably would have did well at the box office. But the fact that there were so many, prominent black characters in it is probably what made it such an iconic, successful film. And if you look at the interviews, if you go back and watch a lot of the interviews with Black Panther, race comes up, and that's a big part of kind of how they marketed that movie is, oh, hey, you've never seen a black person in a superhero movie before, blah, blah, blah. And that, if anything, that offends me more than them not putting black people in movies, because at that point you're using the race, you're using our race, and you're using the color of people's skin to sell a movie. You're using it as a marketing gimmick to sell a movie, and that's not okay, and we shouldn't be supporting this. And that's kind of what they did with Black Panther, and that's kind of what they do with women, to be honest. They do that with, Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman, where they're like, oh, you've never seen a female superhero movie before, isn't this fucking nuts? Like, they do that just as much with women as they do with black people in these type of movies. And this needs to stop. And also, there was Devin sent me an article talking about Blade, also the new upcoming Blade movie. and they were saying that both the Superman, the new Superman movie coming out, and Blade are looking for black directors. I don't know how true that article is. I usually kind of take every article with a grain of salt, but I wouldn't put it past both Marvel and Warner Brothers to do something like this, because this is kind of the trend now where, oh, we have a woman superhero movie. Let's get a woman to direct. Oh, we have a Hispanic superhero. We have to get a Hispanic man to direct, or a Hispanic woman, or whatever. Like, and I think it's great that, there are more black directors out there right now, probably more than ever. And there are more women directors out there now, probably more than ever, like getting work, and they're doing whatever. Like, that's great for them. That's cool. But I think if you are saying, hey, we're making a black superhero movie, we have to get a black director to do this, I think that's kind of weird, because you would think that you would just want a great director to take on this project, because at the end of the day, a great director can elevate any movie regardless of their race or their gender or whatever. Like, you could have brought in because here's the thing. I think Ryan Coogler is a very talented director. He's made great films. I've liked all of his movies that he's made. And I hope that, the next Black Panther movie is awesome. But I think if the Russo brothers directed Black Panther, I think it would have been a much better film, to be honest, because when you look at Black Panther in Civil War and Infinity War, he's a much better character than he is in his own film. And in those movies, he was directed by two crusty old white boys. So like, and it has nothing to do with the fact that they're white and like they're better or anything like that. It's just the fact that they know these characters, I think, better than Ryan Coogler. I think Ryan Coogler came into Black Panther and he was a little overwhelmed because it was the biggest movie he had made. And I think he didn't really quite know how to make this movie. The Russo brothers have experience making these type of movies. They would have been perfect. It's weird to me that they're looking specifically for black directors instead of directors, because not only when you're doing something like that, not only are you limiting yourself to a certain, group, because there's a lot of black directors working, but you're still limiting yourself on the directors you can use. If you're just saying, hey, we're making this movie, we need to get a director. Every director becomes open to you at that point. And you're like, who do we think could make a really great movie? But if you close yourself off and go, we need specifically a black director, well, then you start limiting yourself. It's the same thing when, you say that Superman's going to be black. When you outright say that, that means you're going to limit yourself on the talent that you could potentially have in the movie, because this might have been a little bit of a different story for me if they wrote a Superman script and then during the audition process, they found a black person who like really embodied Superman, and they were like, fuck, that's Superman. Like, we have to get him, like, fucking A. That would be a little bit different, because at that point you're getting the best person for the job. You're not getting someone based specifically on their race. You're not saying that, oh, we're making a black Superman, so that means we have to get a black person in it. That would tell me that, oh, we're making a Superman movie and we got the best person for the part who happens to be black. You understand what I'm saying? Like, because that's how I think every casting decision should be made. Like, I'm totally fine with a black Superman or a black Batman, excuse me. I've always thought that Idris Elba would make an amazing Batman. Idris Elba has the look, he's got the vibe. He could pass for a playboy billionaire like nobody's business. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's black. Him being black is irrelevant. I don't care about that. His look, he looks like Bruce Wayne to me, and I think he could be a great Batman. But I guarantee you, if we ever saw that, they would market it as, oh, the first black Batman movie, but we're woke, come see our movie, or you're a big racist. Like, and that's what they're gonna do with this film. They're gonna market it the way the Black Panther was marketed. If you don't like it, you're a racist, or you hate black people or whatever. And I think all this stuff is silly. I think, especially with Blade, I find it weird that Blade is getting this treatment also, because Blade is like a high fantasy, like vampire, romp. Like the Blade trilogy that we have now, all three movies were directed by white people. Well, Guillermo del Toro directed the second one. He's Spanish, I think, but he's not black. All right. But that's because it was never like it it was never relevant that Blade was a black guy in those movies. Like they never, to my knowledge, if I remember correctly, they never like point out that Blade's black. Really, like it's not really like it's not part of his character. He just is a black guy. Like him being black is kind of irrelevant, and that's kind of what is cool about the Blade movies is that it could be anybody. You know, when Marvel came out with Falcon and Winter Soldier, I was really worried about it a little bit. I was excited because it's like, oh, Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson, they're going to come together. They're going to do like a buddy cop thing. And that seemed interesting to me and that sounded fun. But I was really worried that they were maybe going to play the woke card and go super woke, you know, on that show and make it mostly about Sam and, you know, demonize white people like a lot of the stuff tends to do. And, you know, everyone's black in it and the director's black and all that stuff. But when I started watching the show, I found out that the director of the show was like an old white woman. And that made me look at it and go, oh, that's an odd choice for them to make because you know they're talking a lot about race in the show and they're talking a lot about, you know, like what the Captain America symbol means to, you know, black culture and everything and how that could, you know, people might not support that and people might not be okay with that. And I think that show did that better than something like Black Panther, something like, you know, probably the Superman movie. I think it did it better than a lot of other, you know, TV shows and movies starring black people because it didn't feel like an agenda. It didn't feel like, you know, they were making a thing that was like, hey, fuck white people. White people are the devil. They're all racist. And like black people, yay, black people. Hey, I mean, it obviously touched on race and it touched on like what Captain America could mean to this specific culture and you know, black people in general. And maybe people wouldn't be okay with a black Captain America. But for one, that's an interesting story. That's an interesting idea and an interesting concept. But what made that show so important to me, especially, was that it ultimately didn't really matter. That's kind of what Falcon realizes at the end of the show. That's kind of what his arc leads to, is the fact that Captain America represents more than race. You know, like when we look at Steve Rogers, we didn't call him white Captain America. He was Captain America. He represented all of us, whether we saw that or not. That's what Captain America is supposed to do. He's supposed to represent all of us. And that's what kind of Sam Wilson comes to find out at the end of the show, is that Captain America is bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us. It's a symbol. It's something that is there for everyone. It's not, you know, a black man taking on the mantle of Captain America doesn't mean that, oh, Captain America is only for black people now. That's not what that means. You know, it's honestly irrelevant who takes up the mantle of Captain America, as long as you do the job right. That's ultimately what the show is about, and what him taking up the mantle means. And it's fascinating to me that show was able to do that better than a lot of this other stuff, better than Black Panther, because Black Panther even had some stuff in it towards white people that I was kind of like, this is a little weird. If this was reversed, it wouldn't be okay, and people would have an issue with it. And to me, this just feels like they're really trying to capitalize on the Black Lives Matter stuff, and they're really trying to show how woke they are. And also, WB is desperate for a hit. They haven't had a big hit probably since Joker, but I'm sure they want Marvel money, and so they're going to try as much as possible. And making Superman black, making Kal-El black, I'm sure they think that it's going to make them a lot of money, and it probably will. But marketing the movie solely based on a person's race is not okay. That's not how you should make anything. That's not how you should go into making anything. You should write a story, and then in the audition process, if an Asian man happens to, you know, audition and he's the best person that audition, we have an Asian Superman now. Cool. I'd be fine with that. But this, to me, this isn't that, because they haven't done that. You know, they haven't really done that. But this, to me, seems like WB is really desperate for a big hit, and I just don't see why Out of all the black characters that they have, why they can't take one of them and make a movie out of them? Like, why do we have, for one, why do we have to get another Superman movie? But like, where's the Jon Stewart movie that you guys claim that you're working on? Where's the Cyborg movie that you guys announced 15 years ago that you haven't made yet? Where's where's the Blue Beetle movie? I know Blue Beetle's not black, but where's that movie? He's Hispanic. Like, where's all this stuff that you say you want to do, but you're not doing? Like, you have the opportunity to have a movie for black people, quote unquote, if that's what you're going for black people. It's superheroes are for everyone, and that's ultimately what superheroes are supposed to represent. But we can make it for black people, fine. Like, we have characters that can do that, but instead of doing a new Superman, you're taking Kal-El and just race swapping. Imagine if they did that with Cyborg. Imagine if they did that with Jon Stewart. Imagine if they did that with Static Shock. Because I think if we're gonna get if we're race swapping Kal-El, I want a white Cyborg now. It's only fair. You did it with Kal-El. Why can't we do it with Cyborg? Why can't we do it with Jon Stewart? Because they're black. Okay. Why does that matter more than Superman being a white guy? Like, Superman being white is honestly the most irrelevant thing I've ever seen. And I think that, like, anyone who looks at Superman and goes, "Oh, he's racist because he's a big old white guy," is obnoxious, and they don't understand the character of Superman. Superheroes are supposed to represent all of us, and they're supposed to represent something greater and something better, and they're supposed to be a beacon of hope, and they're supposed to be inspiration for us. Like, I've never understood the term representation matters, and maybe it's just because I have a different kind of perspective on life and I've grown up differently or whatever. But I think that, like, the fact that Captain America is played by a black man now, I'm sure is going to affect a lot of people, and I'm sure that it is going to be a big deal for a lot of people. But I think that if, like, when Black Panther was coming out, I heard a lot of people say, "Oh, we finally have a black superhero for black kids to look up to." That really kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because I was like, why can't they look up to Captain America? Why can't they look up to Iron Man? Why can't they look up to Black Widow or Wonder Woman or Batman? Like, you're basically saying that you can't look up to someone unless they look like you or they're the same gender as you or something like that. And that's not what superheroes are about. That's not what any of these characters are meant to be. And that's what I think Falcon and Winter Soldier did so beautifully, was that Sam Wilson understood that, and that's ultimately what he needed to grasp in order to become Captain America, was the fact that, hey, this symbol is bigger than you. It's bigger than all of us. The symbol is supposed to represent all of us. It's not supposed to represent white people. It's not supposed to represent black people. It's supposed to represent all of us. And Captain America is supposed to be, what we strive to be, to be better, regardless of your race or your gender or whatever. Like, if I want to look up to Wonder Woman, I can look up to Wonder Woman. I don't have to be a woman in order to do that. And vice versa. A woman can look up to a male character just as much as a female can look up to a male character. So I don't understand this notion that, like, oh, now there's a Superman that black kids can look up to. Why can't a black kid look up to Superman? Because he's white? That's the most racist thing I've ever heard. Like, it's so weird. Like, all of this is just weird to me. I can't support stuff like this. I can't support this, like, woke propaganda nonsense, because you're not making the best Superman movie you can make. You're making a black Superman movie because you want to show that you support Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, which is great. That's fine. That's awesome. But when that becomes the main focus of why you're making this movie, maybe you shouldn't make the movie. You should make the movie because you have a really cool idea for a Superman story. I'm sure that story is, like, they haven't even written the fucking thing yet. Where's the script? Is the script done? Who's directing it? There's not even a director attached to it yet. So, like, they're still in the early stages of this, and they're already announcing that Kal-El is going to be black. Why? You're taking a DC universe that already has diverse characters in it, and you're taking white characters from that and making them black. Where's Jon Stewart? Martian Manhunter, technically, I know he's a big green alien man. Martian Manhunter is a black man. Usually 9 times out of 10, whenever Martian Manhunter is played by anybody, he's played by a black actor. He's black on Supergirl. He was black in Zack Snyder's Justice League. He's black in like all the cartoons. I think he's voiced by a black man. Like he's usually always voiced by a black person. Where's the Martian Manhunter movie? Where's the Jon Stewart movie? Where like all of these characters that you're just refusing to make, who you could tout as like, hey, this is a black superhero movie, come see it, blah blah blah. Like if you wanted a gimmick in some kind of way, you have characters that you could do that with already. I don't understand why you're taking Superman, you're taking Kal-El's Superman and doing this with that. I'd be fine if they came out and was like, hey, we're doing Calvin Ellis, whatever. That's fine, because much like with Batman, I think I'm kind of done with Bruce Wayne, especially in movies, because every movie stars Bruce Wayne as Batman, and I want to see a different Batman in a movie. So with Superman, it's like, okay, cool, you're doing a different Superman, so he can be, whatever. I just don't understand why, like, we have to change the race of characters. Why is that important? Why does that matter? That's not progressive. If anything, that's taking a step back. Progressive would be taking a black character, making a movie about them, and then never addressing the fact that they're black, because it's irrelevant. Their race is irrelevant, guys. Like, it really doesn't matter. It's not important. But when you then race swap a character, it becomes important, because then that shows that it's either a gimmick and you're only doing it to sell tickets, and you're only doing it because you don't have any interesting ideas for a Superman movie. So it's like, fuck, what are we gonna do? Oh, let's make him Korean. That'll sell tickets because it's different, right? Or it shows that you have somewhat of an agenda, and that you're trying to have woke propaganda in your movie, and you're not concerned about the movie itself. That's what people see from this. I just don't get it, personally. I don't get it. I think honestly, like, maybe we shouldn't have another Superman movie in general. Like, all these DC characters, and we're making another Superman movie. Like, really, especially with Kal-El. Like, really, come on, WB. You own all of your characters. Give us something new. Introduce the world to Green Lantern, to the real Green Lantern, not Hal Jordan. Introduce the world to Static Shock. Introduce uh fucking Martian Manhunter. Like, introduce all these characters and make them iconic, instead of taking Superman and just going, oh, let's make him black because that'll sell tickets. Like people should be offended by this. By the way, they should be. I know they won't, and I know there's probably a lot of people who are championing this, and that's great. That's fine. If this interests you in some kind of way and you want to go see it, that's fine. That's awesome. I'm not, more power to you. But I don't know if I can support this, because they did it with Black Panther. Marvel did it. It's a different studio, but like, this happened with Black Panther. And if this is going to be the future of not even just comic book movies, but movies in general, I really don't think we should be supporting this, because it's like, they're not getting the best actor for the part. And now, in the comics, they've introduced a black Batman. There's I think what was it, Lucas Fox, who was previously like one of Batman's sidekicks. He was Batman. Like, he's taken up the mantle of Batman now. So now, 5-10 years from now, if we get a black Batman, just make it Lucas Fox. To be honest, like, why does it have to be Bruce Wayne? Why do we have to race swap Bruce Wayne? You already have a black Batman that you can put on the big screen, and you could craft something around that. That's like taking Batman and saying, oh, well, Batman's gonna be a girl now. But then it's like, okay, well, but we have Batgirl. Why not just use Batgirl? Like, that's the same thing. It's like, you already have a character that is black. Why not just use that character? Like, this is confusing to me, and I think I think that doing this is gonna hurt the movie more than WB thinks. I think that, and maybe they have good intentions. Maybe they're doing this because they think it, they need to, and whatever, and that's fine. But I just think this is a really bad kind of gimmick, and I think a lot of people are, and if you look at, the tweet that said Superman's going to be black and it's going to be Kal-El, there's a lot of black people who are kind of like, why? Like, what is the purpose of doing this? Like, who cares? And the whole like getting a black director thing, that bugs the shit out of me, just because it's like, what if Steven Spielberg could make the most incredible Blade movie? Is he all of a sudden not qualified because of the color of his skin? You do realize that that's racism, right? Like, that's racism. You're excluding someone because of their skin color. That is discrimination. That is racism. So it's like we've done like a 180 on race in this country, where at first it was like, oh, you can't come into a grocery store if you're black, and then now it's like, oh, well, you can't direct a movie because you're white, you're a crusty old white boy, and it's like, all right, but that's racism. Like, that's racist. I don't know. None of this makes any sense. This is confusing. I just wanted to rant about it because I feel kind of strong about subjects like this, and I think that the fact that we have a show, we have a series now with Falcon and Winter Soldier that showed a different side of the whole race issue, and kind of was trying to be kind of neutral about the whole thing, and people even took that and they've already kind of ruined that as well. Like, I saw the Daily Show, Trevor Noah like interviewed Anthony Mackie, and he was like, on the thumbnail it said Anthony Mackie, Black Captain America, and I was like, all right, you've already misunderstood the point of the whole show. Sam Wilson is not Black Captain America. He's Captain America. That's the fucking point. Like, it has nothing to do with his race. His race is irrelevant. They poke fun at that in the show when people continuously call him Black Falcon. It's like, it's just Falcon. Like, that's the whole point of the show. But people somehow find a way to throw race into everything and make a big, huge political thing out of it. And it's annoying. I don't want to watch a Superman movie about a black man growing up in the mean streets of Harlem or whatever, because that's what they're gonna do. He's not gonna land in Kansas. He's gonna land in like Detroit or Harlem or something, and it's gonna be, oh, the black man's struggle, and he's got to rise above that, and blah blah blah. We've had so many fucking movies about that. I'm sick of hearing that fucking story, for one, and I don't want to see that story in a Superman movie. I'm sorry, I don't. If that makes me racist, then that makes me racist, I guess. But I don't want to see that story in a Superman movie. And I don't want another Superman origin movie, for God's sakes. And they're gonna market the movie using the race thing. It's the first black Superman movie. Oh, isn't it great that Superman is black now? Isn't that awesome? Oh, hey, come see the movie, or you're a big fucking racist. That's how they're gonna market the movie, because that's how they market every movie now. That's how they market, female superhero stuff. That's how they market black superhero stuff now. Like, that's just how stuff is marketed now. And that's honestly offensive. I'm more offended by that than not having black superheroes, to be completely honest, because you're using our race and our culture to sell tickets and to make money. And that's not okay. And maybe, I'm sure a lot of these people, I'm not saying the WB is racist. I'm not pulling a Ray Fisher or anything, but maybe they're doing it in good intentions and they just don't see that this is weird and messed up. And that's fine. I don't, whatever. But I just can't, I can't support this. And I also don't want this movie. I want Henry Cavill to come back as Superman, because I think he's a great Superman. So unfortunately, I'm probably not going to see this movie. If the trailer comes out and it looks like the best goddamn thing in the world, maybe. But I don't want to just support this movie because somehow they're going to try to like force me into thinking that I have to because of my race. And here's the dirty secret about that. I don't have to support shit that I don't want to support. It has nothing to do with my race. It has nothing to do with my gender. If I want to support something, I'll support something. So fuck you. So just real quick, before everyone, starts commenting, oh, you do your research, blah, blah, blah. Calvin Ellis's birth name is Kal-El. I'm aware of this. But I think if they were doing Calvin Ellis, they would have said Calvin Ellis, I think, personally. I don't think they would have said Kal-El. Now, they might end up doing that. They might end up, like, maybe they've been doing Calvin Ellis this whole time and whatever, and that's great, and that's fine, and that's awesome. But I don't know. I think they might still call him Clark Kent. I think they might still, like, it's still Superman, but he's just black now. Like, I think that's what they're going to do. Because they specifically said Superman, they're looking for a black actor to play Kal-El. They didn't say they're looking for a black actor to play Calvin Ellis. I don't know. It's still up in the air. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about all this stuff. But this was just kind of a general video just to get my thoughts out on all this stuff. I'm fine with a black Superman. I just don't see why we have to race swap characters. If they are doing Clark Kent and he's black, I have an issue with that. If they are doing Calvin Ellis, then, kudos to you. And I was wrong and this video is pointless. But I don't know. All this race stuff I think is irrelevant largely in the world of comics, but um I also did want to talk about the marketing stuff because they are going to market the movie that way, and I don't really like that. So I just wanted to get my kind of general thoughts out about all of this stuff because it really sucks. Um, so even if I am wrong about the whole Superman thing, I think all of this race stuff is stupid.